The following program is a work of broadcast students from the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT Magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland over the past week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their BCIT instructors.
Today on BCIT Magazine, prison construction in Surrey has some protesters upset. Police chiefs jump into the online surveillance debate. And Vancouver residents consider the idea of legalizing marijuana. Good afternoon and welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Braden Oates. Bill C-30, or the Protecting Children from Internet Predators Act, has stirred up a lot of controversy. As Rafferty Baker reports, Canada's police chiefs are now throwing in their support behind the bill.
The Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police came out to endorse Bill C-30, the controversial new online surveillance law. Vancouver Deputy Chief Warren Lemke says that police need to keep up with changes in technology.
We believe the new legislation will assist the police with the necessary tools to investigate crimes while balancing, if not strengthening, the privacy rights for Canadians through the addition of oversight not currently in place.
But some online activity wouldn't require a warrant to investigate under the new legislation. That means in some cases, police would be charged with deciding what they can do instead of a judge.
Police forces in this country aren't having a problem saying to Canadians, trust us. There's a tremendous amount of accountability, judicial accountability. Every province in this country right now has independent civilian oversight of police.
But some, including Lindsay Pinto, communications manager for openmedia.ca, say that Canadians shouldn't have to trust the police.
The thing is about codifying things in law is that you don't want a trust us kind of situation. You want measures in our laws that make sure that our rights and freedoms, as guaranteed by the Charter, are going to be protected.
And Pinto does agree that laws ought to be updated to keep up with technology.
We definitely want to make sure that the police are able to catch cyber criminals, and we don't disagree with that. It's the way that they're going about it that's incorrect.
While Canadians debate the benefits of the new legislation online, police departments are jumping into the fray and throwing their support behind the act. Rafferty Baker in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
A new prison the provincial government is building in Surrey has some residents upset. Martin McMahon reports.
Protesters from the Vancouver area network of drug users converged on the construction site of a new remand centre being built in Surrey by the provincial government.
We're here at the site of a new large-scale private remand centre that's being built by the BC Liberals. So we're protesting that the fact that the BC Liberals and the Christy Clark government are pouring money into expanding prisons in BC at a time when we know the crime rate is going down. That there are other priorities like housing and education and daycare that communities actually need. So they're making a massive $330 million investment in building these big prisons, and we're saying that actually we should be spending that money on housing.
Some protesters say the construction of a for-profit corrections facility in a time with a shortage of affordable housing is hard to justify.
Now we have no social safety net. Basically, they're dismantling it, and we're building for-profit prisons, which puts a whole new spin on justice. There will be companies with shareholders who will benefit from having more stringent laws that capture more and more people in jail.
The provincial government was not available to comment on the concerns of protesters this Tuesday, but regardless of whether or not taxpayers are in favor of the new corrections facilities, this building will cost $90 million, and BC will spend $185 million building new prisons throughout BC. Martin McMahon in Surrey for BCIT Magazine.
4 former attorneys general recently announced their support for the legalization of marijuana in BC. As I found out, the issue of legalization is back at the forefront of people's minds. The legalization of marijuana has long been debated in Vancouver. I talked to residents of the city to find out public opinion.
Well, I think it's probably no more harmful than alcohol, and it's just an opportunity for governments to be able to raise taxes and regulate it in a way that they can't currently regulate it, decrease crime.
I think it should be decriminalized. I think that if the government controlled the supply, then perhaps there would be less of a criminal element to it.
Marijuana can never be legalized in the province of BC because to legalize it, it's a federal thing. So the province of British Columbia can never have the rights to legalize it.
I think there's so much money spent on the criminal enforcement of something which is just a social drug.
So I think to be, giving people criminal records for possession of a little bit of weed, I mean, it's a bit ridiculous.
The opinion on the streets were reverberated loudly at Mark Emery's cannabis culture headquarters.
If BC was legalizing marijuana, logically you would think that the rest of the country is too. It's not a dangerous substance to prohibit. For one thing, it's certainly a lot less dangerous than alcohol, tobacco, even coffee for that matter. Well, from the taxpayer's point of view, the economic benefits would the stopping of the continued waste of enforcing these laws. If the police are spending the biggest majority of their time enforcing cannabis laws, then if you take that out of the equation, that's a great deal of money saved right there.
With marijuana laws so relaxed in Vancouver, many hope the government will listen to the calls for legalization. Braden Oates in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine. Coming up after the break, land-based parasites are invading the seas. And abandoning foreign pets could do more damage to the local ecosystem than you think. Scientists have discovered that an alarming amount of deadly pathogens found in land-based animals are being transmitted to sea life. Rafferty Baker has the story.
Dr. Andrew Treitz is a UBC professor and director of the Marine Mammal Research Unit at the university. He says parasites and deadly pathogens from land-based animals have now been found infecting surprising amounts of sea mammals. And often enough, humans are to blame.
Usually when I think about how healthy the oceans are, I always think about plastic in the ocean, organochlorides. I never thought before about disease as being a big factor, or the fact that we are causing diseases and are essentially making our marine mammals sick and even killing them. People in BC are keyed into this and they're noticing it and they report it. Everything from dead sea otters, dead whales, dead dolphins, dead seals and sea lions.
Martin Helena is the staff veterinarian at the Vancouver Aquarium. While lots of his work is done on healthy animals, he doesn't downplay the severity of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, you get that sort of, wow, okay, now it's in the marine environment. Well, what does that mean? Like, how bad can this get? What else can get affected?
He's tracking some of these pathogens in live sea animals.
We have the ability to take blood samples from animals that come into our center and screen them for exposure to different organisms.
Most of these captive animals at the Vancouver Aquarium are healthy, but in the wild it's a different story.
How do these animals get in contact with organisms that we normally associate with people or with the terrestrial environment?
And while the problem is just beginning to be understood, the root causes still aren't clear, and neither is the solution.
I'm not really certain exactly what can be done. I think some of these are more at a municipal or a provincial government level where you're hardscaping a lot of the areas, like with urban development, a lot of these areas where you may have wetland marshes that would typically filter out some of these agents.
Number one, the most important thing is how essential it is for biomonitoring, to keep going out there and sampling and increasing our sample size and increasing our understanding.
These scientists say one of the best things folks can do to help out is to report stranded or dead marine mammals washed up on shore. People should contact the Department of Fisheries and Oceans if any animals are found. Rafferty Baker in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
14 turtles from the southern United States were recently found in Surrey. As Martin McMahon reports, abandoning foreign pets can impact the local ecosystem.
A turtle. It may seem harmless enough, but this red-eared slider is an invasive species. This conservation biologist says abandoned pets can put native animal populations at risk.
Invasive species are species that don't naturally occur here, so they were brought in by humans. Usually it's from the pet trade, and inadvertently they get released into the wild, and they basically compete with our native species.
So when 14 red-eared sliders were found in a storm reservoir by an environmental surveyor last week, who did he call? The reptile guy, of course. Mike Hopcraft takes in abandoned pets who are often released into the wild and tries to find new homes for them.
All right. They were working on a pond, some big stormwater reservoir, detention pond, and they drained it because they needed to do some maintenance on it. And when they drained it, they actually found a bunch of turtles in the bottom of it. So he called me because he realized that they're an invasive species, they shouldn't be out here. So instead of just trying to relocate them to another pond, he actually called me to try to see if we can find homes for them. So we went out and picked them up that night, and now we've got 14 turtles that need homes.
Hopcraft says turtles are particularly vulnerable.
And that's where we get the problem, because again, people get them when they're about that big because they're cute and cheap and easy to look after, but when they start getting this big and bigger, it's hard to find a tank that's actually, suitable for one this size.
Ultimately, no matter what pet you decide to get, it's best to do your research before buying one. Martin McMahon in Aldergrove for BCIT Magazine.
BCIT is looking for the next Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg on campus. The BCIT Innovates Challenge will award $5,000 to one student to help their dreams become reality. I'm joined now by BCIT Innovates winner from last year, Grace Sue. Welcome to the show, Grace.
Thank you for having me.
So, what was the idea for the contest last year?
Our idea was to have a totally new delivery service, replacing carbon emission producing trucks with human-powered electric cargo tricycles.
And I understand you won $5,000. What was it like winning?
It was a great relief. It provided us with a lot of funding for our project. It allowed us to buy a new vehicle and pay some back wages.
And was there anything else that you did that did to help the business grow?
To help the business grow, with the prize money?
With the cash money, yes, with the prize money.
Yeah, it just helped us get some of our administrative tasks done as well, like getting a business license and stuff like that.
And what advice can you give anyone who wants to enter the contest this year?
We'll definitely treat it like a business proposal to your investors. The application is fairly easy, but if you get to the judging round, they're really going to grill you. You have to really be honest with yourself about your competition and the weaknesses in your idea.
And how did you come up with this idea?
This was a project started in a class. And it was also fueled by my colleagues and I's passion for cycling, and also seeing an opening in the delivery market in Vancouver.
And do you have any plans for expansion within Vancouver or other cities?
Yeah, we do. Perhaps we want to diversify our service and even move to other larger cities in Canada.
And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us, Grace.
Yeah, thank you.
If you have any questions or comments regarding this program, please visit us online at bcitbroadcastnews.ca or bcit-broadcast.com. I'm Braden Oates, and that was BCIT Magazine. Thanks for watching. We leave you now with a street scene of Victory Square in downtown Vancouver.